Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast. I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Pete Meyer of Healthy Finds. Pete, it's awesome to have you on the show.
It's great to be here, Gresh.
Definitely super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Pete so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And for as long as the commercial internet has been around, CEO and co-founder of Healthy Finds, Pete Meyer, has worked in the online marketing industry. In that time, Pete and his business partner, Scott Black, have generated over $100 million in online sales through their company, BCM Direct. Pete has poured his wealth of knowledge into Healthy Finds with the vision of helping brands create and sustain customer relationships in a digitized world. Pete and his wife, Elisabeth, also have 5 wonderful children who keep him almost as busy as his unwavering work ethic and commitment to innovation. Pete, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit here, but a little bit more about how you got started. Could you take us through your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all the awesome work you're doing.
Yeah. So, I'll focus on Healthy Finds. I've been running businesses for teeny tiny ones sometimes, but for most of my professional career. So I've been running BCM Direct for about 16 and a half years. So that's something that runs wellness programs predominantly for the last 10, 12 years. And as part of that, we go to the natural expo shows, Expo East, Expo West. There are these huge trade shows filled with natural health companies that are trying to create the healthiest version of whatever you can think of, really. Expo West will have 3,500, 4,000 companies there. And every year we go, we would see all these amazing companies that we had never heard of. And if we hadn't heard of it, we knew that almost no consumer out there who was interested would know these companies. And they're the ones that are doing the coolest things out there. I got nothing against big corporations, but they're focused on their profitability, their marketability, and their cost. And if you can sell more by putting a buzzword on your package, then that's what you're going to do. But these small companies they're driven by people who are passionate about creating the greatest, and it could be anything. I mean, bars, there's 1,000 bars out there. There's protein powders, but there's, we work with a company that makes brownies out of chickpeas. I was totally like, no, that couldn't possibly work. And it's actually pretty good.
Nice.
So there's all of these out there. So we were like, there has to be something we can do to help solve this problem. So we started playing around with some ideas about 3 years ago, just throwing things against the wall, seeing what would stick. We're in the direct response space. Our business is reaching out directly to consumers and getting them to sign up for usually our wellness programs. And eventually in March of last year, we launched Healthy Finds in its current state. And we've signed up over, I don't know if so, we're within a few hundred of 40,000 paying subscribers that we've signed up since March. And they try us for free for 30 days, and then they pay us either $60 a year, $9.95 a month. And they do this to find great brands. And we work with dozens of great brands that we help them get their product right into the consumer's hands. And then we connect the two of them. We're not a store where, we don't want you to know who our customers are. We don't want you to be able to get in touch with the manufacturer. We're actually trying to connect the two together. And it's going really well, and we're having lots of fun.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a very exciting, thing that you're doing, being able to kind of bridge that gap, so to speak. Because I so often say, and I'm sure you would definitely probably say the same thing, it's the name of the game is sometimes just being found in these brands that are doing phenomenal things and trying to create a ding in the universe and really spirit that innovation that I kind of spoke to in your bio are really trying to do that, but sometimes they aren't able to get into the hands of the people that can actually, use their products and services and the things that they're doing. So I love that you're helping that happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way for them to. I mean, they can work with box companies and they can get their products. So now they can send out all these products to consumers. Consumers might try it, they might like it, but now what are they going to do? That's great for a big brand where they're in every grocery store where you're like, oh, this is really cool. And you walk in the store and there it is. But for a small brand that's in 1,000 stores across the country, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. And there's tens of thousands of stores out there. Then they can't do that because they'd have to send out 20,000 items and then 500 people or 2,000 people will actually be close to a store where they can buy their product. So with us, we can target exactly who gets it. There's no cost to the brand. They just provide us the product. And there's really no cost to the consumer. Well, they pay us the monthly fee, but they get tons of savings in return. And the brand gets a person who pays a few bucks to try their brand, which is important because anyone will take something for free. But even if it's like a $10 or $15 product, you're not going to pay $4 to have it shipped to you unless you're really interested. So that's what we do. And then we share all the leads with the brands. And then the brand can email the person can go and buy directly. We give them codes so they get discounts. And it's going really well. And, you know, the brands love it so far. And obviously the consumers kind of like it too.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I imagine just because you're creating, so many win-win-win scenarios where, the brand gets the opportunity to get their brand out there in front of the people that can use it. And also the people that are looking for maybe the chickpea brownies are able to be able
Right.
to find those kind of niche or really innovative opportunities that can continue to kind of grow and build and be a Raven fan.
Yep. Yeah. No, as a consumer, it's great because you get to, so we're not like a box where you just get whatever. You have
Hmm.
to go and say, I want this one, and that cost me $4. I want that, it cost me $4. So you might go and spend $40, get 10 products. It costs 120 or 150 bucks if you were going to buy them separately. But then you'll also get $100 in savings to once you try that small portion to go back and buy more. So I mean, we're doing what we can to bridge that gap between the two.
Nice. Yeah, I absolutely appreciate that. And so I know you touched on it a little bit. Could you take us through a little bit more on how it works from a brand standpoint, but also for a consumer standpoint? I know you touched on that as well, on how you kind of created this and how it serves the clients that you work with.
Sure. So for the brand, it's super simple. All they do is provide us product. We have our own warehouse, so they send it to us in bulk. We break it up. We create our own little custom variety packs. We can't work with beverages right now just because they're too expensive to ship. And there's some that are like little shots. So if they weigh less than 12 ounces, we can ship them. But we can't ship two 12-ounce cans for $4 because it costs you $10 to ship it. Um, so that's their only cost. Then when we get the product, we'll promote this to our members. And then we also have Facebook advertising. We have different media partners that we work with. So consumers will see a page where they get to try this for free. Excuse me, they register. And then of the people who register, about 20%, 25% of them pay the $3.95. And we share all of that with the brand. So now the brand can put that into their email chain. They can follow up. They say, hey, come back, try your product. And we, of course, try to get them to come back as well. So it's super easy for them. We start small. Like we like to start with about 500 giveaways, but you get in Snack Nations, it's like 45,000.
Mhm.
But we can even go as small as like 300 giveaways, and we can target regional because some brands, now they're trying to get in their local stores. They're in their local neighborhood stores. They get in the local Whole Foods just in their state. So if we do giveaways and they're in Oregon and we get someone to sign up in Florida, A, it's really expensive to ship to Florida for them if they come back and buy. And B, they're probably not going to be in retail in Florida for a while. So we can actually target by state. We can't do one state, but we could do the whole Northwest or the whole Northwest in New York because they have a lot of people in New York. So they can really target to get it where they already are in stores, so they get more awareness, so that then more people buy from the stores, and they get more stores, and one thing leads to another.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I absolutely love that because, and I was gonna say that it kind of sounds like it takes at least some of, not a majority of the logistical, I guess, behind the scenes that you have to do with building a brand, understanding, how exactly you're going to target and what store and all those things. It sounds like you are able to kind of, again, like you said, so well, bridge that gap so that happens.
Yeah, and that's our goal. And because I mean, it's almost a co-op, sort of,
Hmm.
in that we work together. If someone signs up because they really liked, the chickpea brownies, or we work with Carmen nuts. They're cashews, but they're still wrapped in their skin, and then they have seasoning for it, so they have some more fiber. If they
Nice.
like that, then they're probably going to like, a healthier version of, or a healthy beauty cream, or whatever it might be. So we sort of help combine those two together, and we do the marketing because we're marketing for our subscription service. So that's where the branding money comes from. They provide the product for free, and we provide the product for free for the consumer. We just pass it on.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I absolutely love that motto. And so, what would you consider to be what I call your secret sauce? And this could be for yourself personally or the business or a combo of both. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
So I would say, I've said this before, and it sort of comes off wrong, but we don't put too much, we don't obsess too much in the planning. We plan, we try to come up with every scenario, but the one thing I can guarantee you is whatever I plan, that's not what's going to happen. No matter how good, and maybe other people are better planners. I don't know. But so we are looking for opportunity. We say, okay, we have this need. We're going to try this. Oh, that didn't work. But hey, I learned something here. So you take a little bit of what you learned and then you try that. And well, that didn't entirely work either, but now I learned even more. And you just keep taking the information of what didn't work or what didn't work as well as you liked or what portion didn't work. And then you evolve into that. And that's why I'm sure we'll be in a different place in a year from now than I think we'll be in a year from now. Because we want to go, we're small. We want to go where the market needs us to go. And people get too fixated on, was my idea right? Did it work out? Does this make me the smartest guy in the room? Which is a big problem I had for a long time. But what's important is, what do I learn and what works? And that's our motto.
Nice. I love and appreciate that. And as you said so well, I think so many times we can get so obsessed with the plan and setting up the plan, making sure all the ducks are in the row. And those never happen. If rarely happen, might be a better way to say it. But I think if you get more focused on the energy that you're putting towards finding a solution, you understand the North Star is not, as you said so well, about being the smartest in the room or making sure the plan that I had before comes to fruition. It's really about the mission that we have of, helping these people find whatever our goal is. I think when we keep that as kind of a North Star, so to speak, it allows us to not get caught in the minutia, I think, of strategy and planning out and making sure we're actually serving and doing what we're ultimately supposed to be doing.
Yeah, because things always go wrong on some level. As long as we can learn something out of that, then it's growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
God, beats me. Let me think about that. So, the last thing I said is probably some part of that.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing that I think allows me to stay focused longer than maybe someone else might be is that I know when to walk away. So, I run a small business. I could work 24 hours a day, and I still wouldn't be able to get done everything I want to get done. And as you mentioned, I've got 5 kids, and I love spending every possible moment I can with them. So I set a period where I'm going to do everything I can until this time, and then I'm getting up and I'm walking away, and it doesn't matter. And that actually helped provide the focus because it's like, well, I have to have this done by now. And I was always one of those procrastinators who couldn't study until the day before. I couldn't, so now that's just always, because there's always something due that day. But by being able to say, hey, I'm done, I'm walking away, I'm, going and hanging out with my family, I'm cooking dinner, I'm doing whatever, that allows me to be more focused and more efficient when I'm dialed into work.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think there's even a principle, and I forgot which principle it is, but work kind of expands to the time that you allot for it. So if you know that this is the amount of time that I have, once this is done, not only does it, create that line where you get to, spend and, kind of allocate that time as you want, but it also helps us to be more effective and efficient, I think, as well, too, because you start to realize I have a day for the test that's coming up, or as you were talking about, or the paper or whatever it is that we're working on, and you start to become more and more efficient because that pressure kind of creates those diamonds, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those are probably the two things I live by the most is just don't invest too much in what you think was going to happen,
Hmm.
and a lot, a certain amount of time for work, whatever it is. And that's going to be completely different for different people. And then go do your thing, whatever that might be.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I guess that's what you would consider to be like, I was going to ask for a CEO nugget, which is kind of like a word of wisdom or piece of advice, something you might even tell your younger business self. Is it that you should really focus on not so much on the planning as much as the execution, it sounds like?
Yeah, and you know what? My biggest mistake early on was that it sounds weird. I was focused more on the idea.
Mm,
Uh, I wanted to I wanted to be cooler than somebody else's. I wanted to be, and I saw other people in business doing better than I was, and in my mind I was like, wait, I'm smarter than they are, which maybe I wasn't, maybe who knows, but I thought I was, and but they did better, and I realized that they had to focus on we're going to make money, we're going to accomplish this, less so about, oh, I can make it cooler. I can make it like I tend to overcomplicate things. So I just learned of you got to put that aside and you've got to focus on the task. And in business, ultimately, that task is to make money. You want to do it in a way that you enjoy, in a way that contributes value, because that's usually what you get money is for in return for the value you provide. But that was by far and away, that was a turning point in struggling to being successful.
yeah, that's so huge, and I love that simplicity piece that you mentioned as well too. So it was kind of like a just a moment that happened where you started to look around and say, it wasn't getting to where you wanted to be, or the business wasn't getting to where one of the businesses, I should say, you wasn't getting to where you wanted to be. So you decided to kind of realize and inspect why that was.
Yeah, and I realized that I didn't have to. Um, I was trying to get more things out of business than I should have gotten out of business. Like
Mm,
I get satisfaction in a lot of things out of my life, and the business I can be productive, and I should focus on what that business is good at, not try to make it support my ego or make it sound cooler in a party that I'm in the next day. I don't even go to parties anymore, but the basic
yeah.
idea. And so now it's I want to create a business to accomplish this task. And that's it. Don't forget about this and that and just stay focused. While before, like, oh, it'd be cool if I could add this, and oh, it'd be cool if I could add that. Now it's I'm going to accomplish this task. And
Yeah.
I saw a major difference in my success when I sort of came to that realization.
Yeah, that's huge. And I feel like it's something that we all can kind of take into account. Cause I always say, like, when you start a business or you start something, sometimes you have to have an ego to say that, hey, I can create this, I can build a better mousetrap. But at some point, you have to let that ego not take over the business and be the North Star, as we talked about before. You really have to understand that the goal or the mission or whatever it is really the North Star, and take ourselves out of it, which is a tough balance that we sometimes have.
Yeah, yeah. But we also have to be insane optimists,
Yes.
which I just am. So
Yeah.
because I heard a great saying of I think pessimists are more realistic than optimists, but optimists get way more done. So
Yes, I
I'll
absolutely love that.
be an optimist.
Yes. And so I wanted to ask you now my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So, what does being a CEO mean to you?
So two things. I mean, one, you're ultimately responsible. Um, and you have to think of that in everything. If you set something up or you hire someone, you give someone a task, you have to give them the power to do it. But if they fail, then you failed in giving them the right resources or making them comfortable enough to come to you to ask questions. Um, and and I think making it okay, I guess is what I just said, making it okay for people to come in and say, hey, it failed, didn't work. Because if people can't trust us, if we don't provide our loyalty to them, they're not going to provide their loyalty to us. So that's always the first thing you have to do. You have to find some way to show that I'm here for you, and okay, you made a mistake, but we learned something out of it, right? I think that's probably the most important part for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. I think we don't realize like the environment that you create, but as you said so well in that example, like if you create a culture that it's okay in trying things and learning from those things, you can't kind of be the one to slam the hammer, I guess you can say, when someone says I tried this and it didn't work, and we don't realize that sometimes the way that we take those actions also create that culture that we're trying to have within our businesses and organizations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you learn from different people. Some people you got to push, and some people you have to be
Yeah.
like, it's okay. I want you to make a mistake. Like if you don't make a mistake in this amount of time period, then something's wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely. So giving people exactly what they need in order to be successful so that the organization as a whole can succeed as well. So Peter, truly,
I'll have fun doing it.
exactly. That's always a great thing. Well,
Yeah.
Pete, truly appreciate that perspective and I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Yeah, I would encourage anyone in the natural health space, reach out. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, Peter Meyer in Bethesda. You can find Healthy Finds. It's healthy-finds.com because, we couldn't get Healthy Finds. If you're in the space, we'd love to talk to you because we're all about working together. And, one of the coolest thing about this space more than anything else I've worked in is everyone wants to help each other. In a lot of spaces, like, oh, well, you're sort of competition, I want to get you. In the natural health space, it's not. I mean, I guess if you're like head to head, but for the most part, it's like, let's all work together and we can do more, which, I mean, I don't want to over kumbaya, but it's a really cool culture for the industry.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And we'll definitely have the links and information in the show notes as well, too. But I love, of course, we talked about creating the culture within the organization and how that kind of manifests itself in sometimes the things that we create. So I love that you have maybe even created a even stronger culture, within that healthy space that allows those people to be able to collaborate, to co-create, to join forces, so to speak, to be able to kind of help people out. So I truly appreciate you for taking time out and reminding us of that. And of course, they're doing that in their business as well.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you having me on. You might notice I really like talking about Healthy Finds. I'm excited about what we're doing and always looking for new people to do it with.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, we will have the information in the show notes just so that everybody can sign up and also send some products and everything over to you too to create that partnership. So appreciate you again, Pete, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. You too, Gresh.